What is up, guys? I hope you're all doing well today, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 video. So today, we're going to be tier listing all of the guns in Fallout 4. I'm not running with a script this time, so I might not be quite as eloquent as usual, but it ought to be a good time. So it looks like we're starting out with the combat shotgun. So I have a bunch of major problems with the combat rifle. The combat shotgun is not as bad. The magazine actually looks like it could hold shotgun shells, and with the combat shotgun using the KS-23 style handguard, it kind of is shotgunny. It makes sense. It's not too bad, so I'm gonna go ahead and give that one a B. It's definitely not one of my favorites, but it's not bad. Next we have the 10mm pistol. So it is way oversized, super chunky, it'd probably be very heavy to actually use, but as far as in the game goes, it works just fine. It's pretty fun to use, and it doesn't look too bad, so I'm gonna go ahead and give that an A. I think it's a good choice. I like it. Next we have the Gamma Gun. I can't stand this thing. Not only is it basically useless on anything but humanoids, it's just not cool looking. I don't like the whole radio dish looking thing going on with it. I just don't like it. I'm gonna give that one an F. Now we have the alien laser gun. I forget exactly what some of these are called, but the alien pistol. So I'm not a big fan of the 70s, 80s alien aesthetic or whatever you want to call that, but I think it is well done. It does match that theme very well. And I do think the projectiles look pretty cool, so though I don't really like using it, I think I'm gonna give this one a C. And now we have the pipe revolver. So I also despise entirely almost all the pipe weapons, but the revolver is one slight exception for me. It's still horrendous and ugly and just awful, but it does look like it could actually function. You know, it's got an actual cylinder, a hammer. It looks like something you could cobble together in an apocalypse, and it works okay. So I'm gonna give that one a D. Now we have the plasma. I think this is showing the pistol, but the plasma variants. So I don't really like the energy weapons all that much, but kind of like with the alien blaster, I do think the effects look really good on the projectiles, and I do think it's a very unique design that's done really well through the series. So I'm gonna give the plasma weapons, I'm gonna give them a C. Yeah, I'll put them in the C category there. And then I entirely forget what this little thing is called, but it's the little poison shooty pistol you get in one of the DLCs. I got it and proceeded to shoot it once and then put it in a stash and never touch it again. I don't really care for odd weapons like that all that much, and this is a particularly lame one, so I'm gonna give it at least a D just for creativity. And then this next one looks kinda like the cannonball shooting thing. Cannonball gun, whatever you want to call that. This is another one of those very unique ones. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I think it is kind of silly and cool. Not very practical, but it is kind of fun just to launch a cannonball at someone. So just for not practical use, but for fun factor, I'm gonna go ahead and also give this one a D. It's not a total fail, but it's not something you'd use very regularly in a playthrough unless you're just really memeing it up out there. And on to the mini nuke. This one is a pretty easy rating for me. Its ammo is a little bit on the rare side, and it is almost just a giant slingshot for many nuclear devices. And it is very cool, and I'm gonna put that one up here in S tier. You may not get to use it constantly due to ammo in a normal playthrough, but when you do get to use it, it is very cool. And now the 44 Magnum. I really like the 44 Magnum. The way the reload functions is very annoying due to emptying the cylinder and just dropping all the rounds out, even if you have only shot once. And the way he just kind of has, I don't know if you've ever paid close attention to the reload, but it looks like he's using a speed loader, something that you'd push all 6 rounds into the cylinder at the same time. but the bullets just kind of float above the thumb. They don't actually have a loader of any kind when the player uses it. So I just find that very silly and something that could have been fixed very easily. So I'm not going to give this one an S because of that, but I do still think it is pretty solid, so I'm going to go ahead and give that one an A. Then we got the Soltron laser thing. I don't really care for this thing. Just consistent beam weapons are not really my preference. It is unique. The fact that you just ripped off an Soltron head and use it as a weapon is kind of cool. So I'm going to be generous on the creativity side for this one and give it up to a D. Then we got the Tesla rifle. I really didn't use this one all that much. Again, I'm not a big fan of energy weapons, so this is one I kind of tried once or twice and then just put it back in the stash at base. But it is pretty cool. I'm gonna give this one a C. I do think it's pretty nifty, so I think a C is a good place for it. It's decent. Now on to the game's excuse of an assault rifle. This is one of my least favorite guns in the game. There's a couple that are lower than it, but I really do not care for this one. It looks like a World War I era water-cooled machine gun, which would be very heavy and cumbersome. It's a bunch of cobbled together weird themes and stuff going on with it. I just can't stand this thing. I think it's very dumb, especially compared to what they've used for assault rifles in previous games that were so much cooler. So I really don't see why this is in the game at all, and I really don't like using it. So I'm going to put this one in the F tier. I can't stand it. And now to the combat rifle, which I really can't stand. As I mentioned with the combat shotgun, it has a KS-23 shotgun style handguard. It's got a magazine that looks like it would shoot, higher caliber rifle rounds, but most of them default to shooting like 38 or 45 caliber pistol rounds, which simply doesn't work. The magazine does not change style, size, or anything, even though you change what it shoots. It has a PPSH style stock and pistol grip, which is just very weird. It doesn't have an ejection port on one side also, if I'm remembering correctly. It's just such a low effort weapon they made for this. I really don't like it. In performance in game, it's okay. So as much as I would like to just drop it all the way to an F for being such an abomination of a firearm, I am gonna be generous to it and give it a C just because gameplay specifically, it is pretty usable. So I'm feeling a C on that one. All right, now we have the cryo gun, or whatever that specialty thing is that's in the vault you start in. I'm not a big fan. I've never really felt the need to go back and get it repeatedly after I tried it the first time. It is pretty cool though, and just another one of those very unique Fallout style guns. So I am gonna give this one a C. I think it is very cool. Even if it's not particularly great, it is really cool, so I'm gonna give it there. And now to the Deliverer pistol. So I really like this one. It looks a lot like the Makarov, and there's another smaller concealed carry style pistol that it looks very similar to, and it just functions like a real pistol. It's a good size, it looks realistic. I enjoy using it in game, so I'm gonna put this one in the S tier. I think it's definitely one of the better, more realistic weapons in the game. And the double barrel. Early in the days of Fallout, I actually did a playthrough where I exclusively used and built around using the double barrel because I actually really enjoyed it. I don't really care for the way it doesn't have a bullet counted reload, so even if you shoot once, you still just put both shells into it, which is again a little annoying, but it's not a big deal. So I am going to give this one an S tier. I have a lot of fun with it, and I do like it a lot. And now to the harpoon gun. This is one of the silly weapons that I actually had fun using. I didn't use it as a main weapon in a playthrough or anything, but I just find it very fun to shoot large harpoons at things like you're spearfishing, but instead you're fighting raiders or whatever else the Commonwealth has to throw at you. So I think this one's pretty cool. I'm gonna give this one a B. And the lever action, which suffers from another one of the game's running themes where they weren't smart enough or cared enough to include any kind of bullet counted reload system. So even if you fire once or twice, you still hand load, 6 or 7 or however many shells it actually holds, which is very annoying. And from a gameplay perspective, you have to go through a very long reload animation to top off even 1 or 2 shots. So that is very annoying, but I do think it is still pretty good as far as Fallout weapons go. So I'm gonna put this one also in the B tier. And we have the radium rifle. So I like this one in specific circumstances. I do not like the radio dish attachment that goes on it, but I don't mind the look of it without that attachment. And I did have fun using what is kind of more of a normal ballistic weapon in the game. Obviously, other than having the radiation damage as well, but I did have fun with it. I thought it was kind of cool looking while being a little bit creative. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in the A tier. I did have a good time with that one. Now to the Flamethrower. Another one that I think is very cool, but I never really cared to bother using it. I just don't really care for that kind of weapon all that much, but I don't think it's horrible by any means. So this is going to be another one I put in the C category. Next we have the Gauss rifle. Gauss rifle. I think it's Gauss. Gauss? Not exactly sure how to say that. But either way, the Gauss rifle was pretty high damage, low rate of fire shooting thing that was almost like an energy sniper in a way. As usual, I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't think it's a horrible design or anything. So I am going to put this one in the D category. And now we have the hunting rifle, or sniper rifle, depending on what attachments you put on it. I like this one. I do tend to use it a lot in vanilla playthroughs, even though it's, for some weird reason, it is shown and animated as a left-handed rifle, but the character holds it in the right hand, which just makes it very silly. I really don't know why they bothered to do that. I can't think of another game that has ever bothered to do something that weird. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it does still function like a normal rifle, and it is pretty solid as far as stats and being usable in the game, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this one up here in the A tier. And then we have the Institute laser guns. So laser is probably my favorite of the energy weapons, though I'm still not a huge fan, and I do think having like a variant specifically for the Institute was pretty cool and a good design choice, just to make them stand out from everyone else. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one up in the B tier. Ah yes, the Minuteman rifle. I think they did a really good job at designing a very unique musket-themed laser weapon, and I do think it is well done, but I don't like using it whatsoever. It's just, at least for me, it's just not very practical, and I do think it's ugly. Again, I think the design is good. I think they did a good job. I just don't personally like it and would basically never use it. So I am going to put this one in the... You know what? I'm going to be ever so slightly generous because it is a very good design, so I'm going to give that one a D. And now just to the normal laser weapons. So as I stated talking about the Institute one, I do like the laser weapons decently well for energy weapons, so I'm also going to put the laser gun category in the B tier because they are pretty cool. Next we have the minigun. The minigun is not a particularly powerful weapon, especially into the late game, but it is a lot of fun. I do love just spraying everything down with the imaginary 5mm rounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a B, just because it is cool. And the rocket launcher. I think the rockets are not too bad. Obviously, you don't find a ton of ammo for them most of the time, and they're not quite high enough damage to be just like absurdly powerful, but I do think they're cool. I like the scrap together style, and I like when you put like the quad tubes on it. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna also give this one a B. And now on to the handmade rifle, which is Fallout's version of an AK-47. I like this one a lot. This definitely has to be one of my favorite guns in Fallout 4, because even though it has kind of the post-apocalyptic spin and Fallout theme going on with it, it does still look like an actual functioning AK relatively, with some, changed out parts and whatnot. My only big issue is, once again, they do the weird thing where the charging handle and everything is on the left side, like a left-handed gun, which makes very little sense at all, and it is very silly. I don't know why you would want hot brass shooting up near your face at any time, so the design choice with that is once again really dumb. But the gun itself is pretty solid, and I like the look of it and how you can turn it into more of an SMG or a sniper and all the different things you can do. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one in the S tier. I like that one a lot. And we will go ahead and call both of these the same thing here. This is just all of the pipe weapons. These are just disgusting. I can't stand the pipe weapons. I understand the desire to have like post-apocalyptic, like scrap together items and whatnot, but most of the pipe weapons don't even, like, they wouldn't even be able to function. They look like they're more likely to just blow up in your hand. They're ugly. The magazines are always the wrong size for the caliber it's supposed to shoot, which makes no sense. The mechanisms on it do not look like they could function whatsoever. The bolt is charged like a rifle, where it goes up and then, you know, comes back down into place, but it's just a straight shot for the bolt to move back, which makes no sense whatsoever. So it's animated weird. It doesn't look like it could work. Once again, it has the issue of where the shells would be ejected would be towards the user, which again makes no sense at all. So I just can't stand these. I feel like it's a very lazy design and an excuse to say they have a bunch of guns in the game when really there's like 5 or 6 different guns classified under the same garbage tier that is pipe weapons. So these both immediately go into the F tier for me. Next we have the railway rifle for when you just want to shoot railway spikes at people. As with some of the others, I think it's an interesting design. It's cool that they tried to make a weapon out of something unique, but I don't like using it at all. I really don't find it fun at all. So that's into the F tier. We have the submachine gun, the gun modeled after the Thompson from World War II. I like using this gun, but it does have some issues with not having an ejection port, where the real Tommy gun kind of has the ejection port on the top and off to the right side just a little bit, you know, so the shells aren't right in the user's face. And the charging handle is also on the top, as where in this, it's a little tiny charging handle on the left side of the gun. So it's got some oddities that I really don't like, but it is pretty good to use in the game. I do like it. It functions pretty normally, so I'm going to be a little generous to it, mostly because I'm running out of space here. And I'm going to put that one in the A tier. And here we have the syringer gun, or syringe rifle, or whatever it's called. I don't remember exactly. This is another one. It's unique. It's a cool idea. The different craftable syringes could be a lot of fun, but it's not something I really ever bothered with very much. I'm just not a big fan of the odd weapons for the most part, so I'm going to give this one also I'm gonna give this one an F. I just really don't care for it. It is cool. I understand that some people might enjoy using it. I just don't like it at all. And then we have the junk jet. This thing is not particularly viable through most of the game, but I think it is very funny. Something special about cramming a bunch of junk into a gun and shooting it like a blunderbuss that is pretty cool. So I don't like using it, but this is one I'm gonna give a D, because it is not total trash, mostly for a fun factor. And then we have the Gatling laser. So I actually like this one a lot. Same with the other laser weapons. I do enjoy using them a bit more, and I do like the minigun style, especially when running around in power armor, and I have used it quite a bit. Not to mention some of the legendary versions can be pretty nutty good, so I'm gonna give this one an S rating. And then we have a gun I don't really recognize particularly. It looks like a 38 revolver. I don't know exactly what its name is, but I imagine it shares most characteristics of the 44 as far as reload and all of that. I might have used this one, I just don't remember for sure. But surely for aesthetic and assuming it works like the 44, I'm gonna also give this one an A, because it does look pretty good, so I'm gonna put that there. And there you have it, folks. There is my personal tier list of all of the guns in Fallout 4. Let me know down in the comments where you would have moved things around a little bit, or If you agree, let me know down below. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about this. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. It would really help me out, and I would greatly appreciate it. So take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.